Hey, so I wanted to make a quick video. So I just recently just watched a video from Aiden Harvey, who is a shot putter from New Zealand, a 19-meter shot putter. Basically, just talking about the physics behind throwing far. So I'll link his video in the video description if you want to go into greater detail about the science. He brings up graphs and studies and all that. If you want to learn in detail about that. But I thought he brought up a lot of interesting points that I always assume are common knowledge, but I forget that a lot of people just aren't nerds like me that study all that stuff. So I wanted to basically break down what he said, some of the points he said. 'Cause again, I don't want to plagiarize his video or take his video. If you want to actually go and watch his video, it'll be in a lot greater detail than what I'm gonna say. So go watch it. But so I just want to get into a few points and basically like break them down into like non-sciencey terms, basically. All right, so he first talks. The first point I want to talk about is, uh, in that video he describes a momentum-based thrower versus a impulse thrower, or if you guys watch my channel and are have actively watched it, I describe momentum, and instead of impulse thrower, I use power thrower. So he also correlates an impulse thrower slash power thrower to like the American style, whereas a momentum thrower would be like a European style. So he talks about like Tom Walsh, Zane Weir, Fabry as like the momentum thrower style, and then the impulse thrower is like the American style, like a Ryan Krauser, Payne Otterdahl, Joe Kovacs. Um, so the differences between those are basically a momentum based thrower will usually tend to be weaker. Have like a 15 to 17 meter stand throw, and have weaker like base strength numbers. It's like a weaker squat, a weaker bench, a weaker snatch, a weaker clean. But what they do have is they can produce a whole lot of power really fast, and them themselves are just super fast. So they tend to have really good like sprint times, like a 30-meter sprint or something like that. So, and they tend to be more lean and um how do I say this? Mm, I'm probably not gonna say that. Um, more lean and just on the slimmer side of weight. So you're looking at people who are like 280 pounds below, which I know still is big because you don't really see people throwing 22 meters that are like 200 pounds. Usually, like the smallest shot putter I've ever seen that throws like 22 plus meters is Zane Weir, and he is like 250 to 260 pounds. Like Adam Nelson was around that weight too. Fabry's probably like a 280 pound. So they're still big, but for like shot put, like when you compare them like a Ryan Krauser, like a Christian Cantwell, Joe Kovacs are like over 300 pounds. I mean, like there's a big difference there. So those are the qualities for the impulse thrower, or sorry, sorry, the momentum thrower. So an impulse thrower, so like a Ryan Krauser, Joe Kovacs, Payne Otterdahl, they tend to be a little taller. They tend to be a lot more mass. They tend to be super, super strong in the weight room. And their stand throws are like 20 plus meter stand throws. All right, to give you an idea of what an impulse thrower makes. So, why did he bring this up and why do I bring this up? Is because for a couple of reasons. If you do not have a strong stand throw, and you're not very strong, that doesn't mean you have to be to throw far. Because, the momentum throwers I named are all super, super good throwers, like world champions, like world medalists, European medalists, super good, all 22 high or mid shot putters. Um, some of the best in history, like a Tom Walsh, or I mean, in terms of distances, Fabry. Um, like, so you can still throw far. So Ryan Crouser, by the majority of people, is considered the best technical model. However, he's the best technical model for him. Now he does a lot of things very well, but if you are not very like someone like me, so I'm like 260 to 270 pounds. I'm 5'10". I am not very strong. My like max squat is like 210 kilos. My bench is like 150 kilos, and I'm around close to like a 17-meter shot putter. So, but if I tried to throw like Ryan Crouser, where I start slow and try and accelerate, um, a more traditional way of starting slow and um, trying to catch the shot put really deep, hold a wrap, and just stay in double support as long as possible. I don't move. I don't throw as far because as Aiden Harvey explains in his video, what matters a lot, all right, is the velocity of your release. So release velocity and shot put. All right, and you can achieve it by using the two different styles that I already mentioned in the momentum based throw or the impulse throw, or as he stated. So for me, and I'm just using me as an example because I can just say what works for me, is I am a momentum based thrower because I am super fast. In high school, I ran like 11.9 in the 100. I'm on the slimmer side. I'm super fast and pretty kind of twitchy. But I can produce force in, in very short bursts. So I'm not very good at producing force over a long period of time. I'm very good at using it in quick bursts. So I'm really good at like overhead like power jerks, like a snatch balance. I'm really good at like just really short movements. So like my box squat is over like 700 plus pounds. Like my quarter box squat is I can't even fit that much weight on the bar, because I always max it out. So I actually don't know my max, but I've done over 300 kilos for like 8 reps with quarter box squats. So, and I can move them super fast. I move them like really really fast. I think it was like 2.8 meters per second. And they never really slowed down. And that's when I was in college using a velocity meter on the bar. So those were really good tests for me. And we also had at my college a ground force stuff, like how much force I can produce from the ground while I jump. And I always beat all my teammates in that. Um, I didn't really have any like numbers to compare it to like really good people, but I'm just really good at just producing force from the ground really quickly. So all of that stuff really led me towards throwing more momentum based because I had to rely on my speed to throw far and not necessarily my raw strength because I don't have that much raw strength. um, so if those qualities describe someone like you, to whoever's watching, then you might be a momentum based thrower and maybe you're losing distance because you don't throw like that. So you have to experiment with both. So, and I've tried to be an impulse thrower. It just does not work for me. I never threw far doing that. Um, so what makes a momentum thrower? So he states in the video. So Aiden Harvey explains in the video the qualities of each. So and like what's the difference between them? So usually, a momentum based thrower will start slower. So he'll start slower. I mean, sorry. A momentum-based thrower will start faster, not slower. So it will start slower. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. A momentum-based thrower will start faster. Try and maintain the speed. Never stop the shot put. And then spend very little time in double support and just carry the speed over. All right. So, and then you have an impulse thrower, or as I like to say, a power thrower. So as this guy right here, Ryan Krauser. So I just have a video of him snatching, so you don't have to see my ugly face. But so you got him. He is the definition of a power thrower. Someone who starts really slow and just keeps accelerating and grinding and just staying on the ground and staying on the shot put as long as possible. So his throw looks really, really slow, but he produces that power because he doesn't have that much airtime through the ring, and he stays on the ground and he works the ground forever. And that works for him because he's 6'7" and like 320 pounds and is super, super duper strong. All right. So I've seen him like muscle snatch like 120 kilos, which is freaking insane. Like a lot of super heavyweight, weightlifters, like 109 plus lifters, can't do that. Like that's insane levels of strength, and he does them fast. All right. So he has strong weight room numbers. He's obviously tall, 6'7". That's really tall, especially for a rotational shot putter. That's like a lot of height for like a glider. That's like an average height for like a elite 70-meter discus thrower. All right, so already now I know like Joe Kovacs and Peyton Arnold aren't that tall, like 6'7". But they do the same things. They start slower and then accelerate, whereas like someone like Zane Weir start fast immediately and try and hold that speed through the entire throw. All right, so and they both throw relatively far. Obviously, Zane Weir does not throw as far as Joe Kovacs or Ryan Krauser because really nobody has. But Fabry is probably the best example to compare to those guys. So Fabry is probably the furthest thrower. It used to be Tom Walsh, but I guess now it's Fabry. I guess Tom and Fabry are the two like momentum based throwers that I'll point to in terms of distance. So when you look at them, they start super, super fast and hold that speed. But the thing is, they're so fast and so powerful and so explosive and so twitchy that they can start fast and still accelerate from that. They just need to start faster to get the ball moving sooner because they need to produce that force sooner. All right, so they have more time to actually produce that force through the throw. All right, so I'm not gonna get in the whole science and all that because I want you guys to watch that video, because it's a very interesting video and he'll explain. He has actually like graphs and like data to back up these points and stuff. I don't have that stuff because I don't know how to edit videos and do all that, or else I would make a video like that as well. But so I would recommend go watching his video because he knows how to do all that fancy smancy electrical stuff. But so that was the first point, and I know that was a 13-minute rant about one point. The other point that he made is that I want to go to is how to train for power and how to train to throw far. And he brings up a Dr. Anatoly Bondarchuk graphic that explains like through like these certain distances how much certain things matter. So like how much a snatch or a clean matters to like a 60-meter thrower compared to a 22-meter thrower. How much like a 30-meter sprint out of blocks compares to 16 or to a 22-meter thrower, stuff like that. So basically, the better you get, the less those base lifts matter, according to that graph. I'm not saying that that stuff doesn't matter. So like you see here, the world record holder, he is still snatching. He's doing hip snatches. So it clearly matters. Because the correlation was the further you throw, the less this kind of stuff matters. But it still matters because otherwise he wouldn't be doing it. Because I think the world record holder knows what he's doing. Call him crazy, but yeah. So basically, what he brought up is a very interesting thing. Between, he used the example of a full range of motion squat, so like an ass to grass squat, so like what you would see like an Olympic weightlifter do, versus a barbell jump, versus a quarter box squat. And what he brings up is that a full range of motion squat does not produce a lot of power because it's very slow velocity. And he's talking about like heavy, so like close to maximum. So if you do he brings up like a 300 kilos full range of motion squat. You move it, you're going to move that slow, and you're going to move it for a lot of time. All right? Which therefore decreases power. Because the power is increased when you shorten the time and increase the velocity. All right. So then he brings up a barbell jump, and that produced a lot more power. But you can't have the height. You can't have the weight to get that. I forget the word he used, but basically, so the example he used was a 100 kilo, jump squat. Barbell jump. Sorry, it's very late for me, so excuse me if my mind wanders a little bit. So he uses a 100 kilo barbell jump, all right, as the second example, and that produces a lot more power. But it still has the time is a little bit too much to produce a lot of power. But the velocity is super fast. Alright? And then you got the quarter box squat. Which, if anybody who's ever thrown has not used a quarter box squat, you need to. Alright? Even though you'll see people that don't know what the hell they're talking about say, oh, that's not a real lift, that does nothing. Yes, it does. It increases power. Because you know what it does? It decreases the distance and decreases time, but you're able to load it. You're able to load super heavy weight. So you're able to load 300 kilos, but move it super, super fast because it's the short range of motion and shorter time to complete the lift, which in turn increases a lot of power. All right. And it's shown by the study that it produces the most amount of watts. All right. Which is a measure of power. And that's what you need. And I'm not going to get into actual specific or details because, again, watch the video that Aiden Harvey made. But to get more of that info, and go ahead, subscribe to him and do whatever and all that fancy jazz. But it's just, I want people to, so basically the reason why I'm saying that is because I want people to really understand that having a super, super strong squat does not necessarily mean you'll throw far. So I'll give you an example. So someone like Eddie Hall. There's videos on Eddie Hall's YouTube channel. And for those of you who don't know who's Eddie Hall, he's the world's strongest man from 2017. The first person to ever deadlift 500 kilos. He's a strong dude. One could say. There's videos of him throwing shot put, discus, hammer, javelin. And to be quite honest, I can throw the shot put further than Eddie Hall. I can't deadlift 500 kilos. I'm not the world's strongest man. But the reason why I can is because I can produce a lot more power. Well, also because I actually know how to throw shot put, and he doesn't. He just looked at a video of Randy Barnes. But so that's one reason, and the other reason is because I could just move faster. I'm much more flexible than Eddie Hall, and I can just produce more force than Eddie Hall in the ways that would make me good for shot put. All right, so I know that sounds crazy saying that I can produce more force than Eddie Hall. But the thing is, there's a difference between standing still and moving fast. So like a squat and doing like a continuous broad jump. And I'm not, and honestly, I kind of take that back. I might not be able to produce as much force as Eddie Hall, but I can still produce more force in the motions required to throw shot put to throw further than him. But then again, that also could just be because I know how to throw shot put compared to Eddie Hall. I know a lot more. So take that with a grain of salt if you want with that example. Maybe that was a bad example because, World's Strongest Man, you do have to be pretty good, at moving stuff, because the whole point of World's Strongest Man is just moving, like, awkward stuff in athletic kind of stuff. It's like throwing things over a bar, and I'm not going to describe World's Strongest Man, but you get what I mean. I think the better example I should have used was like a power lifter. So someone who's just super good at just like a static squat, but it's just like super stiff and like doesn't have like has to use like straps to do a front squat instead of actually having the mobility and athleticism to do a squat. But even though they're really strong and they can squat like 800 pounds, I bet my life I could beat them throwing shot put. I swear. All right, simply just because it's just different types of strength, and you have to have a certain amount of athleticism to throw shot put. You have to be able to produce power in short amount of time while moving at speed. And in a squat, you're not moving distance wise in terms of like you're not jumping forward and stuff. All right, so it's a big difference. All right, so basically, I know I tried to make this super not complicated, and I'm probably not explaining this in the best way because I'm trying to tiptoe around just plagiarizing what Aiden Harvey said. So please go watch his video because he explains it a lot better, because I'm just trying not to just repeat everything he said. So that's probably why what I'm saying kind of doesn't make any sense. But basically what I'm trying to say, and the overarching lesson I want to get from the weightlifting portion of his video, is while both are important, so you do need baseline strength. So obviously someone that squats 100 pounds, they're never ever going to throw 22 meters. All right, it's just physically impossible. You have to have a certain baseline strength to throw 22 meters. All right. Even me, I'm very weak compared to a shot putter, but compared to the average Joe, in 24-hour fitness, I'm really, really strong compared to them. But in the shot put world, in a power-based sports world, I'm very weak. They're a woman stronger than me, all right? So I guarantee you almost any elite shot put woman is stronger than me in, everything, all right? And I know I'm just dissing myself, but it just gives you an idea that, considering I'm weak for shot put and I'm very small for shot put and I'm 260 to 270 pounds on average, that's really big for just an average dude just walking down the street. But for shot put, it's not. So you do have to have a baseline strength. However, the shorter range of motion and the stuff, so the mantra I always say for lifting for throwers and just any power-based sport, move heavy weight fast. All right, you got to move heavy weight fast. All right, so even if you can squat 300 kilos, it's not going to really correlate to you throwing shot put very far, because you're not producing power. It's just teaching your body how to move slow, and not twitchy at all. So it doesn't really help you at all. So, I mean, but if you lessen the load, so say you squat say you move the 300 kilo squat, ass to grass. Say you move it at 3 meters per second. You decrease that to 260 kilos, you move that like 2.4 seconds, meters per second. That is going to correlate a lot more to shot put. All right? Because, even when you see shot putters move super heavyweight, like Joe Kovacs, like squatting like I forget, like 340 kilos or something for like 10 reps, he's moving it fast. All right? Even though it's a ridiculous weight. If he actually maxed out, you'd probably squat over 1,000 pounds. All right? But it wouldn't help him. All right? It wouldn't really help him because he would move super slow and all that. Even when he squatted like 800, like 84, I'm sorry, yeah, like 800, like 84 pounds, like something ridiculous for like 4 reps, he still moved that pretty fast. All right? Like, so you have to move weight fast. All right? So if you're like struggling and like if you can't move at a consistent speed during your reps and all that, in like your squat or your bench or lifts like that, it's not doing anything to help you throw further. All right, you need to move weight fast. So like a 1 rep max isn't really, like, obviously that's important because you want to know a 1 rep max or a 3 rep max to base your numbers off of. When you're lifting, but that 1 rep max is, or 3 rep max, one more 1 rep max is really like not a correlation to throwing far. All right. So like I would say like 80% is probably like the highest you want to go if the goal is power. Now, there are different conversations. So like in like the off season, so like the summer to like maybe December, like I always like to train my athletes to just get big. Don't really care about speed because it doesn't matter because we're not in season, and I don't care about how far you throw. Maybe December's a little too late, but like more like November. So just get as strong as possible. Get your base numbers up a lot. Because again, I don't train 22 meter throwers, so I have to worry about this kind of stuff. If I didn't train 22 plus meter if I train like 20 plus meter throwers, I would have different workouts for them compared to like someone who throws like 13 meters. All right, so once you get like to like a 600 plus pound squat, you don't really need, unless you want to throw like 20 plus meter, more like 21 plus meters. I would say 22 plus meters. You probably don't need much more than a 600 pound squat, if I'm going to be completely honest. So, like Reese Hoffa, I think like the heaviest squat I've seen of him on film was doing like 600 pounds for like 3 reps, I think. And I think he was slightly older. Yeah, so and he threw 22.43 and was a world champion and a bronze medalist in the Olympics. So he was a 22 meter thrower, but he could rep 600 pounds. So, but he didn't have like the crazy, strength levels of like a Joe Kovacs or Ryan Krauser or Christian Cantwell. All right, so in the off season, like full range ass to grass squats and like full range like bench pressing are like really, really good and something all throwers should do. All right, one, to just get more flexible, get more mobile, reduce risk of injury by getting strength in those positions, getting that tendon strength, getting all that jazz. But towards like, so when you're in season, when you're starting to peak, that stuff becomes less important, and it's more about moving your weight faster. So you want to start doing like box squats, padded bench. Not really worrying about like top end muscle strength, and more worrying about how fast you can move the heavy weight. All right, is basically what I'm saying. So keep that in mind if you're like training yourself and you want to program yourself in the weight room. Just keep that kind of methodology in mind. All right, so even though you see these throwers like lifting a whole bunch of weight, like you'll notice, so here, even with Ryan Krauser, like I don't know if these are kilo plates, I'm blind so I can't even see, But just look at how fast he's moving that. Like, that's not even close. He's catching that basically lock-legged. All right, so but the thing is, he's moving it super fast. That's probably 130 plus kilos, if I had to just guess. So I mean, yeah, and you still, that's a ridiculous weight for someone to just snatch like that. But he's moving it super fast, so it's light for him. So and that's good for him. I wish I could do that. I wish I could even snatch 130 kilos. All right. So, yeah, that's basically the points I wanted to get is. So to summarize this video and why I'm making it is because I think there's a couple lessons we can take away from like the Aiden Harvey video. Is one, you don't have to be the strongest or the biggest to throw far, but you also need to understand what style will work for you. All right. And then two, you have to understand what makes a shot put go far. All right. And the biggest thing that makes it go far is the velocity on release. All right. And that is directly correlated to power. And the power is from the weight room and what you do in training. All right. Or throwing overweight, throwing underweight, so throwing different weight shot puts or discs. All right. Or hammers. Javelin, that might be a different story. But this is more talking the shot put, discus, and hammer throwers. So that stuff is going to correlate. So if you want to increase power, you do short range of motion, move heavy weight fast, or moving your body weight super fast. So and like rapid motion. So like a continuous like broad jump or standing long jumps or 30-meter sprints out of blocks, stuff like that. That is what makes you more powerful. Or like a overhead or underhand throw with the shot put, or like med ball slams or stuff like that. So moving weight fast with your whole body, using your whole body to move yourself faster, like clapping push-ups or like explosive push-ups or like Superman push-ups or stuff like that, or just jumping in the air repeatedly, or just doing like gazelles or just plyometrics. There's a reason why throwers do that stuff. All right. And you don't really see powerlifters do that kind of stuff, because powerlifters don't need to, because they don't need to move the weight fast. They just care about the maximum weight. And our sport isn't about moving maximum weight. The weight room is accessory to the throw. All right. The throw is the most important thing because, it's the sport. And I think people get caught up in the weight room and neglect the throw. And it needs to be the other way around. You need to use the weight room to help you throw far. All right. So those are basically the two takeaways that I wanted to get from this video. So again, I'll link that in the video description. And I actually just made a video. This video is about the same length as that video. I do apologize. I know I just went on a big rant. That a lot of it probably didn't make a lot of sense, because once again, I was just trying not to copy what he said in the video directly. So some of the examples I used might have not made that much sense, because I'm just making this on the fly and it's not rehearsed and I don't have a script or anything. But again, all the stuff I said will make a lot more sense once you go watch his video. All right. But yeah, thank you all for watching and sticking through this long lecture. I know I normally don't make videos about this kind of stuff. But I thought it was a very important lesson to take away. And yeah, thanks all for watching, and let me know if you want me to actually do like lecture style videos about, shot put technique or actual like physics or biomechanics stuff behind shot put, because I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, see y'all later and have a good day.